Man yusundu mangi wo people domu Africa.
Today, I'm going to be talking about the dollarization of the African continent. I'm hoping that at the end of this presentation, I'll be able to convince African leaders, especially those that are the helms of public policy, development policy, to de-dollarize the continent, to create a single integrated system of payment in all of the African region that will allow all Africans to make payment for goods and services from their local account without converting to foreign currency. At the end of this presentation, I'm hoping that I'll be able to convince the African leaders to create a central bank of Africa to pool all of their reserves to the Central Bank of Africa in order to create a source of loans for Africans, for African nations. I've tried to put together all of the reserves of the African nation. We have, at the moment, we have over $400 billion sitting idle in foreign country. Now those are the ones that we have. If we should de-dollarize the continent, we can easily get more than $1 trillion. Now, if Africans can pool those resources to the Central Bank of Africa, it will act as a source of loans to develop other African nations. In Nigeria alone, after going through the data, the data from the National Bureau of Statistics, what I found out was that in 1st January 2008, Nigeria had a reserve of $51.2 billion. January 2008. In 2019, December 31st, it came down to about $38.6 billion. The trade surpluses from 2008 to 2019, the same period, the trade surpluses amounted to $424 billion. Trade surpluses, that is after paying for all the services within this period, paying for all their international transactions, paying for all their imports. Within this period, after paying, they have an excess of $424 billion surpluses from 2008 to 2019, $424 billion. Then the remittances from 2008 to 2019 came up to 250. Now this is net remittances, that is after accounting for outflow, for outgoing remittances. So net remittances between 2008 to 2019 came up to $250 billion. Now, adding these values together, adding 51 billion, that is the reserve the reserve at the 1st of January, 51.2 billion. Then the trade surpluses from 2008 to 2019 of 424 billion. Then the remittances of 250 billion from 2008 to 2019 came up to $725.8 billion. That is the expected reserves. Expected. 725.8 billion expected reserve. But at the end of 2019, it was 38.6 billion. So we have $690.2 billion that is within the economy in the form of cash dollars, cash foreign currency. If we should take a macroeconomic multiplier factor of 3, over 2 trillion worth of economic activities disengaged. Now, Nigeria operates a dual currency economy. It has dollarized the economy. The economy is dollarized. Their local bank operate cash dollars, cash foreign currency. So this starves the economy of the needed resources, of the needed currency, foreign currency that they need to import raw materials, to import those intermediate goods and services that they need, that is needed to create jobs in the economy. So you can understand the impact of dollarization of the Nigerian economy. Now the country is struggling with payment, with international payment. They have to restrict the importation of some goods in order to afford to make payment. And at the same time, they have billions of dollars in their domestic bank accounts. In their domestic bank, their bank actually operates foreign currency, where they have to operate it with cash dollars. With cash dollars. You have cash dollars in Nigerian economy. So it's a dual currency economy. So you can understand the impact of dollarization of the African continent. So if Nigeria really needs to develop, if it needs to be able to acquire the capital, the raw materials, those goods that they need in order to produce the things that they need, it needs to de-dollarize the economy. What is applicable to Nigeria is also applicable to all of other sub-Saharan Africa. Take for instance Ghana. Most of some of the things that you can acquire in Ghana, most of the hotels they now charge in dollars. University of Ghana, foreign students, African students pay in dollars as well. Cash dollars. African leaders, those that are at the helms of policy, making policy, public policy, development policy, we need to de-dollarize the continent. We need to pool all of our reserves, create a central bank of Africa, pool all of African nations' reserve to the Central Bank of Africa. We need to create a single integrated system of payment whereby all Africans will be able to make payment for goods and services in all of African regions directly from their local bank accounts. By doing this, you'll be able to accumulate enough reserves, enough reserves and enough foreign currency to purchase the goods, the necessary raw materials, those facilities that you need in order to modernize your system, in order to modernize the economy. You need the foreign currency to buy those goods, not to use it as a means of exchange within the continent. By dollarizing the continent, you enlarge the demand base of the foreign currency more than the needs for the economy, thereby depreciating all currencies in Africa. And I need to remind you that for a developing nation, you need to understand, African leaders, you need to understand that for a developing nation, it is much better for your currency to be stronger compared to other nations' currency in order for you to be able to import cheaply those materials, those goods that you need to develop your sectors, to modernize your sectors. You need a stronger currency. It makes it cheaper. Then when you have mastered the act of producing, of modernization, of value adding, then you can devalue your currency in order to increase your exports. These are the rules. These are the rules. These are the rules. And this is my message to Africans today. It is my message to African leaders for them to formulate policies that will propel the continent to achieve development, for employment creation and for poverty eradication. We are talking about poverty eradication. God has blessed the continent with enormous resources. God has blessed us. The continent is blessed. The nation Nigeria is so blessed with raw materials. We need to develop those raw materials for our own use. That is the primary. Now, in order to explain to you the rudiments of economic development in terms of international trade, the reason why we engage in international trade, I need to digress a little bit on the fundamentals, the foundational principles of economic development in regards to a particular nation or country. We all know that within a country, the fundamental duty of the governance is to ensure the general welfare of its citizens, to live their life to the fullest. Therefore, all policies and programs of the governance should revolve around improving this general welfare of its citizens. This is the only fundamental duty of governance to its people. And the sole heart desire of the people is to enjoy the world, to see the beauty of the creation of God. Therefore, the whole duty of governance is to organize the productive tools, productive capitals of the nation, to produce those goods, to produce the things that are necessary to fulfill these needs, to produce the things that they lack, in which they are said to be undeveloped in the first place, just like the sub-Saharan African. When they talk about underdevelopment, they always look towards sub-Saharan, towards a continent. And this might mean, for instance, encouraging agricultural sector to produce the food, to produce food crops, encouraging the manufacturing sector to add value to these products, the extractive industry to extract the minerals and the raw materials that are needed, especially to support the manufacturing system and also service. We know that within a nation, they don't have all they need, all they need to produce all they need. So we need dollars in order to acquire foreign goods that we ordinarily would not have been able to acquire. Now, the sole purpose of dollar is to acquire foreign goods, is to pay for goods and services in a foreign country. If that's the case, why import the dollars? Why dollarize the economy? Why do African nations import dollars? That is the question that I need to ask. Why do African nations import dollars, import foreign currencies in a bid to establish a fiscal market to trade foreign currency? We know that there has been a lot of international financial innovation for cross-border payment for goods and services. Why do African nations import dollars into the continent? Foreign currency is meant for international trade, not within the local economy. The dollars is meant for international trade. So if it's meant for international trade, it shouldn't be within the nation. So what do I intend to achieve today? First, to de-dollarize the African continent. Second, to create the Central Bank of Africa and create a single integrated system of payment in all of the African region that would allow all Africans to pay for goods and services within the region from their local bank account without resorting to conversion of local currency into dollars. There's never been a period that we have had so great attention focused on Africa. Now is the time for the African leaders to begin to implement policies that are favorable to African development. It is for this reason that we have decided to lend our voice and our expertise, our knowledge to the area, to point the areas where African leaders, African policymakers need to focus their attention on. So in my next episode, I'm going to talk about how African nations, how African continent, how they are to leverage the creation of the Central Bank of Africa and the pulling together of their reserves to create jobs for the teeming mass of unemployed youth.
Sans frontières, police nous am waratuñu nangu kenn ñëw di ñu feewale bul jiite réew foog ne la fa nekk yow yaa ko moom njiit bu dëgër dala war a fekk nga bëgg sa réew te sàkku ndimbal la ca fekk loxol boroom we Africa jant bi fekkee waaw nu la fekk joo ak sa jumtukaay bëccëg bi gaaw na ñett du bëre te ñaar man kenn waaw yoon wi sore na te metti na nañu ko waaj Bodul na bi xalaat lañu defoon maan ya sokol dootul yette dootul xalaat dootul fentoog su ma sañoon Afrika benn nit boo koy jiite ñu boole suñuy xalaat ak suñuy doole jox ko na ñetti frontière yi taxa yoon yi ba ñëpp gisee ci cuuti kii walk together, keep on walking. Cheikh Anta Diop, Kwame Nkrumah, Stephen Biko, Nelson Mandela.